Throughout history, you have had a multitude of artists and creators that have revolutionized the medium of film in multiple ways, but also inspired many great minds in the process to give us the films we have today. From Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, Stanley Kubrick, Peter Jackson, Steven Spielberg, and way too many names to name. Every individual who ever directed critically and culturally revolutionary movies are all pillars building upon the world of filmmaking. But with this video, I wanted to shift the focus from American cinema to Asian cinema. No, not Korean films, not Japanese films, Hmong films. Right. Who or what are Hmong people? Well, Hmong people were soldiers for the CIA during an event called the Secret War, which happened in the middle of the Vietnam War. This event allowed us to immigrate and settle within the United States. In 2008, Hmong actors co-starred alongside Clint Eastwood in the film Gran Torino, when the Hmong community, culture, and language were given a presence on the big screen for the first time. And recently, Sunny Lee, a Hmong American, won a gold medal for the Olympic gymnastics in 2021. There is so much history I didn't even touch upon, but I just want to give a surface level of who my people are and get to the topic of why I wanted to discuss their films today. With the rise of Asian representation in the media with shows like Squid Game, Warrior, and movies like Shang-Chi and Blue Bayou, it made me want to share my own little corner of the universe with the internet. Fair warning, I am only speaking about Hmong films from how I have experienced them. This is not an official history of Hmong films video. This is my retrospective on how I have seen them evolve as I've grown from a child into an adult. The Hmong films I was exposed to growing up were mainly either heavy air quotes rom-coms, action, and horror. Mostly filmed in Laos or Thailand, with a few occasions of them being in the United States. The ones filmed in the United States were mainly in California or Minnesota. Looking back at all of them now, they started with a guerrilla style of filmmaking where you just film anywhere scenic or at a crew member's house. There were small production companies backing them up, sure. However, the way it was filmed in the early days was very homemade movie-like and documentary-esque, especially with the cameras they used. It was never really film roll films, but what looked to be Maxwell camcorder tapes. I almost forgot to mention, they were mainly distributed on VHS tapes and not on DVDs until the mid-2000s. The quality of Hmong films would eventually improve camera-wise and production-wise as time went on. And make no mistake when I say this, but every Hmong film is a literal director's cut. Like, there is no deleted scenes at all in the features. I mean, even the movies from back then came in like 2 discs or literally 2 VHS tapes. 2 discs. On rare occasion, 1 disc. Alright, the one to make or break it. What'd I say? 2 discs. Nowadays, there's a few more modern Hmong directors that are aware of that and have conformed to telling stories in films in less than 2 discs. So that's another plus. Anyways, that's enough chit chat. Let's dive into the genres of Hmong films. Romance, or romantic comedies, since there was always a little bit of comedy sprinkled into them, was the most common genre that existed in the early days of Hmong films. They were easy to shoot on a shoestring budget. You just need 2 pretty people, well, in the director's eyes at least, pick a song or have a band write a song that you'll replay over and over as the main theme, and then you tell a love story. A story where 2 lovers meet, fall in love, and eventually marry, only to have issues in their domestic life where they split forever and get back together in the end. Or, they can't be together because of their families. A love triangle is thrown in with a 3rd dude or girl, and drama happens on until the original couple finds their love for each other again. Or, a 2nd and more youthful wife enters the marriage, stirs things up in the household, and ends when the husband realizes he loves his first wife and dumps the 2nd wife. Yeah, the trigonomy secondary wife, whatever you call it. That'll probably be lost on new viewers. I mean, it's not a thing anymore. It was what it was. don't cancel me over that. I'm just giving the facts, man. Oh god, what lie have I put my people in? Overall, the genre is the same as it would be in any movie. Only difference is the cultural context it's in. Action films began as martial arts styled films with some hilarious special effects by today's standards. A lot of the martial arts action movies had fight choreography and visuals that took inspiration from Jackie Chan's Drunken Master. It wasn't until the mid-2000s where the action genre would get a major upgrade, with gunplay and pyrotechnics being used more frequently, along with some improved lead acting, but I'm probably being kind of biased because of nostalgia. The action stories were usually either revenge tales or retelling/reimaginings of events during or after the Secret War. The action genre would grow stale, however, and seem to fade out because of how much it would cost to make them and how forgettable they were. No disrespect to the crew members and people who worked on these movies, but the action genre was just not viable for the Hmong market when you've got better alternatives to watch coming from Hollywood or foreign cinema. Although some of the action movies may be lacking in plot or scripting or story details, I think it really makes it all up with the action, especially the action stars. I don't want to just sound like I'm punching down on my own people and just criticizing everything, but I can also highlight some good things that have come out too. Especially from Angus Her. He does his own stunts, his fight choreography, and it is just very well done. Especially the camera work. The camera work is almost on par with Hollywood films, and if only we had that little tiny budget for a little better camera or something of that sort, we could definitely highlight his skills a lot better. Perhaps it's not just him, but it could be the fight choreographer also. And from what I've watched on Corridor Crew with Stuntmen React, a fight scene that has been choreographed by stuntmen may suffer due to a director's vision or time and money. And from what I've seen on Angus Her's channel, I think he's a very good step up in the action movie genre. I don't know why I chose to have this as the last topic, but well, here we are. And horror just hits differently when it's your roots, man. Here we go. With horror, it adapts folktales, but these folktales are meant to scare children and keep them in check. And coming from a background of Hmong shamanism that is heavy-handed on spiritualism, I find it kind of disturbing when thinking about how they had the balls to film things like this.
Ow!
Making horror films in any type of country will always be the cheapest genre to do for the least amount of money. You just need actors, a creature or killer in mind, a setting, makeup, and boom, you got your crew. So when it comes to Hmong horror films, it's literally just that, but done for scary folktales. It also makes things seem more terrifying because of the camera quality too. It's almost like watching found footage, except it's the evil forces behind the camera instead of humans. I mean, we got stories about witches that capture and eat children, Sasquatches or Bigfoot/giant ape-like creatures with red eyes that eat hunters that go out hunting, demonic man-eating tigers that steal brides or take the form of housewives as husbands, and scary ghost girls in forests that seem to resemble Japanese horror figures like Sadako or Kayako with the long unkempt hair and traditional clothing. I'm unsure if this folktale of scary ghost girls predate Ju-on or Ringu because, I mean, those two movies came out 90s, and there's been stories about, or folktale stories about these type of things for years, so that's a whole other rabbit hole I'm not going to look into, but just something to think about. If they've been described like this in folktales, why is it just now being told in the 90s of that? So I don't know. It's kind of creepy if you think about it. Something about that Southeast Asian jungle setting is just so isolating. It's like the small towns or homes in a Universal movie being attacked by Dracula or the Wolfman. Sometimes the thought of these things happening according to folklore or being recreated in a film just gives me goosebumps and disturbs me to no end. When it comes to the horror genres nowadays, there seems to be a smaller market for it, and not really a big market. The concept of one seems more doable as a student film or independent film, and from my quick YouTube search of them, there's a good amount of them with great cinematography and terrifying visuals, but I'll link them down in the description if you're interested in watching them. My main purpose of this video was to showcase the somewhat low-key background of the Hmong films I grew up with. They are nostalgic pieces of my past, and even though I myself will prefer American media over Hmong media, they will always have a part within me and remind me of my roots as I grow older and older. Out of all the Hmong movies I've talked about, I mainly wanted to make this video as a precursor to my next review, which is Ntsim, or if I'm to give it an English title, The Tiger Bride. Now I'm aware that's not an exact translation of the title, so don't jump on me about it because it's an okay substitution of a title. So, stay tuned for my next review of The Tiger Bride, or Ntsim.